Hello, I'm Mayor Eric Garcetti, and I'm honored to join you to discuss the most critical task we face as Angelenos, as leaders, as human beings, keeping all of our neighbors safe. Let me begin by saying what all of us are thinking. We wish this conversation wasn't necessary. But in Los Angeles, an attack against one of us is a threat to all of us. And when we see acts of hate and violence and abuse, we speak up and we take action. This is what we know. Violence against transgender and gender nonconforming Angelenos is on the rise. For transgender women of color and Black transgender women in particular, this trend has proven disproportionately fatal. This threat is real, and we will never tolerate it in our city. So today you will hear from just a few of the voices who are leading this fight to make transphobic violence a relic of history. And as your mayor, I want you to know what your city is doing to lift up the voices of our trans community, to root out bigotry, violence, and discrimination here in Los Angeles. This work can't only be reactive. Protecting and celebrating LA's trans community has been and will remain a long-term policy priority for all of us. In 2016, with the leadership of Councilmember Mitch O'Farrell, we founded the Transgender Advisory Council, becoming the largest city and only second city in America to create such a permanent body. And for 4 years, leaders across sectors, geographies, and background are helping to shape city policy, working tirelessly on every public policy challenge in Los Angeles, from housing and homelessness to economic security and public safety. And as we keep fighting to end violence against trans people in Los Angeles, this Leadership Council remains a critical partner in our work. You see, Los Angeles is a city of belonging, a place where every human being is worthy of help and healing and hope. It's that principle that guides us since the start of COVID-19 as we work to save lives and livelihood, and as we've led the movement to support those most in need. But even as we've taken these critical steps forward, the Trump administration is taking horrible steps back, proposing to effectively block transgender people from publicly funded homeless shelters, denying life-saving aid to our most vulnerable neighbors because of who they are, and it is cruel and unconstitutional. And it would be a shameful act of discrimination under any circumstances, but in the midst of a public health crisis and economic downturn, a moment of upheaval for each and every one of us, this rule change places the lives of transgender individuals at extraordinary risk. I filed a powerful public comment strongly opposing this federal policy on behalf of our city, and all Angelenos can do the same between now and September 22nd by visiting housingsaveslives.org. I want to speak directly to trans and gender nonconforming Angelenos. This is your city. You are our neighbors. If you face discrimination, we stand with you. If you feel isolated, we welcome you. And if you face homelessness, we will house you. As long as you are fighting for justice, we are going to be fighting alongside you, because it's who we all are. And led by our brand new Civil and Human Rights Department, our city government will only expand our efforts to speak out against exclusion and fight discrimination in every facet of civic life, from housing to education, employment, and beyond. That's our mission, and there's no one better to carry it forward than our next speaker. So please welcome the head of LA's Department of Civil and Human Rights, my friend, Capri Maddox.
Thank you, Mayor Garcetti, for your generous remarks, and special thanks to the mayor and city council for their leadership in this space. I would like to especially thank Councilmember Mitch O'Farrell for working with the transgender community to address advocacy issues that are facing this community, and the fact that we actually now have the opportunity to have a Transgender Advisory Council in the city of Los Angeles, which was established in 2016. I want to talk to you all briefly about the Civil and Human Rights Department and how we are interested in serving and fighting for justice in the city for our transgender and gender nonconforming individuals, as well as all residents. We are going to fight hate incidents and discrimination to protect all, regardless of one's race, gender, religion, disability, citizenship, citizenship status, sex orientation, or gender identity. We actually have 4 pillars that we will be sharing with you. And it'll explain how we're breaking down the department and how we will serve the community at its best and highest use. We have community engagement to prevent hate crime prevention, allow for us to have discrimination awareness training, and to celebrate the mosaic of diversity in Los Angeles. We also will deal with discriminatory behavior with enforcement actions. The Civil and Human Rights Commission will have the ability to punish people and entities that violate the Civil and Human Rights Ordinance here in Los Angeles. And we focus on non-public entities that violate one's civil and human rights in 4 areas: commerce, education, employment, and housing. Now, do we stop there? No. We are looking at the opportunity to have 2 things: equity and empowerment in this space. And when you think about equity and empowerment, on the sheet that you were just looking at, we have 3 things that we would address. The policy equity lens, which could address anything from food disparities to COVID-19 equity issues. Upward mobility programming is the next phase. We are going to fight to make sure that more Angelenos get into the middle class and beyond. And that includes all communities. We'll do this with college and career readiness, entrepreneurial options, teaching people about home ownership, financial literacy, and have an opportunity for youth mentoring as well. We are so excited about the 3rd phase of the E2 equity and empowerment that we will do here in the Civil and Human Rights Department. And it will have an opportunity for us to look at industry diversity metrics. So when we look at corporations now, they'll have a rainbow on their website. They'll have hashtag Black Lives Matter and all things positive about unity. But when you look at their payroll, you'll see something different. So we want to look at the hiring practices, the inclusion, and the pay equity in all of these entities. And I just wanted to say we have the honor of doing all of our work with the support of the philanthropic community, the business community, of course, community-based organizations, neighborhood councils, and local universities. But we are lifted and supported by 3 amazing commissions: the Commission on the Status of Women, the Civil and Human Rights Commission, and the Human Relations Commission, which actually houses the Transgender Advisory Council that's been doing great work. And with that, I have the privilege of honoring and introducing Mother Karina Samala, that has been a champion and an advocate for the transgender community for years. She actually set up the Transgender Advisory Council in the city of West Hollywood in 2009, where she served as the founding chairperson, and she continues to serve on that board, but we're lucky enough to have her in the city of Los Angeles as well, where she serves as our chair of the Transgender Advisory Council, which was created in 2016. So we are so delighted. With that, Mother Karina, have the floor.
Thank you to Capri Maddox for that kind introduction and for organizing this event. I'd like to thank also Mayor Garcetti, City Attorney Mike Fura, Chief Grimala, City Council Member Mr. Fowler for attending this event. I surely appreciate the support expressed for the transgender community. And good afternoon. I'm Karina Samala, as the chair of the Transgender Advisory Council, and I currently serve also on the Transgender Advisory Board of the City of West Hollywood. As a transgender woman, I'm a proud member of the LGBT community. I was born in Manila, Philippines, and along with my family members, immigrated to the United States. In Los Angeles, I found the personal strength and courage to live my most authentic life as a trans woman. This led me to discover the deep passion for giving back to my community by helping others find the resources they need to live better, healthier, and more fulfilling lives. As a 25-year advocate for the transgender people, I've worked to improve public safety, advocated for economic and workforce development, and have been an active advocate for better and livable housing for our communities. Over these years, I've seen the best and the worst in human behavior towards our community. I've seen violence against trans women stemming from ignorance and misunderstanding. And I've seen thousands of people organize and demonstrate to stand up against hate. I'm certain that improvements in our relationship with LAPD are a direct result of that activism and the willingness of the department to encourage or engage in a genuine way with our community. In my own small way, I have worked with LAPD and LASD at both the division and municipal level in making policies to improve law enforcement's attitude towards us, not just in word, but in action through policy reforms and community engagement. And today, I am here to amplify the voice of our transgender family who have been victims of hate crimes and are the targets of harassment, intimidation, and acts of violence. As I look back, our community has faced many challenges: homelessness and housing, lack of gainful employment, public safety concerns, growing suicide rates, and lack of mental health resources. In 2020, we are still struggling with these inequities and the fight to be treated with basic dignity and respect. But this year has also shown that our community is resilient and that we will not be erased. And while we are in the global health crisis that has affected our community disproportionately, and while we are dealing with national government whose rhetoric continues to erode our gains, we stand stronger together and more focused than ever to solve these issues along with our civic partners and community allies. And this is why today I want to thank Council Member Mitch O'Farrell for his unwavering support and advocacy for my community. I take great pride in introducing to you Los Angeles City Council Member Mitch O'Farrell.
Karina, thank you so much for your lovely words. Capri, I've had the great privilege of working with you in different iterations in both of our careers now for more than a decade. And this is a wonderful collective team of advocates with lived experience, with professional experience, and just all sorts of experience in the city of Los Angeles coming together and informing a process that will not only give voice and give rise to the types of protections and rights that we are all owed, but also, as usual, can serve as a shining light to other cities, other states, other municipalities across the United States and the world. And I just couldn't be happier and more proud to work with Karina and the Transgender Advisory Council, Ms. Maddox and her entire team with the Civil and Human Rights Department, and Francisco Ortega, who we've worked with as well. It's really the dream team of folks coming together to make good things happen for this community. You know, Los Angeles has always been a place where people can find themselves. That was my migrant story at 21 when I moved here. I would not be half the person I've become if it had not been for the city of Los Angeles. And listening to Karina's origin story of coming here and being able to determine her own future on her terms and having the kind of lived experience that has informed her ability to be so effective is what reminded me of that. We're at an inflection moment. We've heard that over and over again. In came COVID, and then with that, the national reckoning over race and discrimination and the dismantling of the institutions that harbor racism in our modern American life, that are the legacy of 400 years of slavery and the annihilation of indigenous peoples. We have a lot of work to do, but there's a greater awareness of the foundation of the type of work that we need to do and what's before us. The LGBT community has a unique role in reckoning and creating a space for healing and wellness. And I've always been excited about that opportunity, how we in the community that I am part of can help bring that voice forward and elevate it, because we have a role to play. And I'm very, very excited about that. Everything that I do is in cooperation with the Transgender Advisory Council and the community that I have really, I feel very protective of and always have. I want to make sure that the T in LGBTQ is not just an afterthought. Everyone who has a pulse and lives in the United States deserves to reach their full potential without disruption of someone who would have it the other way. And I think that's what this movement is all about. Just a few quick things that I've been working on. There's a bill that's waiting for the governor's signature right now, and that's Senate Bill 932, which requires the state of public health and each local health officer to address needs specific to sexual orientation and gender identity when individuals are diagnosed with COVID-19. That element was left out of healthcare across the state. So we're hoping that that will get signed into law, because there will be other health issues and we need to make sure that this community has the protections that it deserves and is looked at with the respect and dignity that it deserves. Worked with a Transgender Advisory Council to report and make recommendations to the City Council on issues and topics affecting the transgender community in the city of Los Angeles, including supportive services for people experiencing homelessness, people who are dealing with HIV and AIDS, and job creation opportunities. And that is an ongoing collaboration. Something exciting that we've been working on, and this went through council and is adopted, and that is we're the largest municipality in the country to require mandatory inclusivity training strictly on the topic of the trans and gender diverse communities. And that's something that we need to really celebrate. And we're working with the LGBT Los Angeles Center and the Transgender Advisory Council on getting that training program finalized so that police and fire and all the other city departments are required to go through that training. Have worked with delegations and gone to Tijuana to help the transgender community there who are waiting entry into the United States, who are living in shelters. Continuing the partnership with the council, APAIT, the mayor's office, the Los Angeles Police Department to expand the Midnight Stroll program, which is a wonderful program that we built from the ground up that really pays attention and focuses on those who are driven to transgender sex work, which is a reality, and offering a leg up for those folks experiencing homelessness. And also it includes, and this funding that we've allocated now, and it's ongoing, includes emergency shelter beds and temporary housing at one of our bridge shelter homes in Hollywood. And working with all LGBTQ community partners for a jobs pipeline for formerly homeless youth, specifically transgender, gay and lesbian individuals in Hollywood. We have that target that's about to open. So we're working directly with them to employ this community at the new Target store at Sunset and Western. And we're looking for those opportunities, working directly with corporations and entertainment companies on having that dialogue. And then lastly, funded and supported LGBT youth, homeless, and transgender organizations in CD 13, including Asian Pacific AIDS Intervention, APIT, and treatment. Covenant House, Bienestar, LGBT Los Angeles Center, Los Angeles Youth Network, Project Angel Food. My office has supported and funded these organizations in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. I'm a real believer in putting my money where my mouth is, and this community is part of who I am as a public official. and that's not lost on me. And I couldn't be more proud to be part of the community and help play a role while I'm in office to keep things moving forward. Now, someone else who is a partner and an advocate who has his own lived experience within his own family and has worked on policy in his public life and now in his role as our Los Angeles City Attorney. And that is my friend and the City Attorney of Los Angeles, Mike Fewer, who I now introduce.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
We can hear you now.
Good. Okay. So I was saying, Mitch, thank you very much for your leadership. And the thing about your role, Mitch, in leading the city on this and so many issues is how incredibly authentic it is. I think that most people who are looking at public officials these days want more than anything else someone who genuinely believes what they're focused on and who operates from principle, and that's you. So thank you for that. Capri, what a pleasure. So for people who don't know, Capri was my special assistant in the city attorney's office until the mayor designated her for this new incredible leadership role. And the city is very blessed to have Capri Maddox leading this new civil and human rights department, which she brings not just academic interest in, but genuine personal passion to every day. And so, Capri, you're going to do a wonderful job in this role. So I'm going to say just a few things at the inception. You know, from in our office, we're extremely proud of the role that we play in standing up for, protecting, and lifting up the transgender community. And, you know, that begins with our own office. We have a Pride Association in my office comprised of members of my staff, to the work we do. And we'll discuss more, for example, about our prosecution of hate crimes involving the transgender community. But beyond even that, you know, we were very proud to join a national coalition in the Supreme Court of the United States in support of the right of transgender kids to go to bathrooms consistent with their gender identity. Every child deserves to be treated with that most basic level of dignity. The lessons that kids learn stay with them for the rest of their lives, and that very much includes how they are treated at a very young age. We led, along with the city of New York, a coalition of cities and counties across the United States in the Supreme Court again, in supporting the LGBTQ community when it comes to employment status, to assure that employment discrimination cannot lawfully be expressed against the LGBTQ community. There's another issue that we haven't talked about as much, and that is President Trump's effort to preclude transgender people from joining the military. We have spoken out extremely clearly. It's ludicrous for someone's gender identity to preclude them from serving their country. The mayor referred earlier to the significant efforts the Trump administration is undertaking to try to undermine the ability of transgender people to get access to basic homeless services. Our office is standing up and playing a key leadership role up to the Supreme Court of the United States in all these issues. But I want to take this away just for a moment from a list of accomplishments or academic issues. These issues of discrimination that Capri is going to be focused on, and in particular regarding the transgender community, these are very important to everybody in this presentation. There are people who, as Mitch said, are leading efforts because of their lived experience. I have to say, now, I personally haven't lived that experience, but I have known through my family and from background from my grandparents to the present time, what it means to feel like one is on the wrong end of discrimination. From grandparents who were denied the most basic opportunities because of their religion, to the fact that when I was growing up actually, I'd gone to college at this point, but my home in San Bernardino was the target of a KKK cross that was burned on our family's front lawn. So I know what this means. to feel the sting of being treated like the other in a society where we all need to stand up for each other. And that motivates our work every day in my office. And regarding that office, I'm very pleased that we have created in our office not just an equity officer, but my special assistant successor to Capri is Heather Aubrey, who in that special assistant role at the top of our charts in our office, not only is our equity officer, but she's going beyond that. We've convened we're convening a panel in my office to enable us to not only look internally, but externally to assure we're taking every step we can to stand up for people who otherwise will be marginalized in our society. And that very much includes the transgender community. Now, and I can conclude with this, we held in the midst of the earlier stages of the pandemic, a town hall meeting focused on what it means to be the target of hate incidents because you're Asian American, and the president and his staff refer to the pandemic as the Asian flu or Kung flu, pardon me, or words like that. And in the course of that very important town hall meeting, it became eminently clear that we need to be saying to every member of our community in Los Angeles who feels as though they're being targeted for hate incidents or discriminated against, that you need to report when that happens. Because we as a city family are here to stand up for you and to fight for you. If that means prosecution, then it means prosecution. If that means public statements, it means public statements. If that means standing shoulder to shoulder to transform policy, then we're going to be doing that too. And when we talk about reporting, that will often begin when it comes to hate incidents, to which I'll return a little bit later in our role as prosecutors. It requires reporting to our friends at LAPD. And I'm going to turn to introducing a longtime friend of mine, someone I deeply admire, and that's Assistant Chief B. Grimaldi. You know, B has been I've known her since she was a captain in Hollywood. The thing about B is she brings not only tremendous expertise and great leadership qualities to LAPD, but she brings heart to that role. So when I talk to B about an issue, we really connect because B is at the core of who she is, a public servant who knows that to protect and serve isn't some empty slogan. That is who B. Gramala is. I have been so pleased to see, B, your ascension within LAPD. You are one of the most exceptional leaders. I've been in city life since 1995. You are one of the most exceptional leaders ever to have served at the LAPD. And when it comes to issues protecting the transgender community, there is no one who is your peer. So I'm proud to introduce somebody I feel so strongly about, B. Ramal. Chief, you're up.
City Attorney Fear, again, a privilege to be with you here. Thank you. I will strive each day to earn your very kind remarks here today. But how beautiful it is to be with all of you. Capri, when I heard of your appointment by Mayor Garcetti, talk about the right person at the right time at the right place. We're hungry for your leadership, and we so look forward to it. Just see Mother Karina, Jasmine, Mitch, and everyone else on this call. Thank you so much for being here. One thing, and I'll keep my remarks short because I know we have so much to cover here today, but the one thing I'm imploring everyone who may be hearing the sound of our voice or seeing our images here today, hate crimes, especially within the transgender community, continue to be underreported. We need to help educate and bridge the gap on the LAPD side and also with the community. We need to hear your voices. We need to know your experiences. You need to be counted in everything from the census to crimes being committed against you. Please come out of the shadows. Please come to see these advocates, these beautiful spirits here in Mother Karina, in Jasmine, so many others. Please reach out and let us know what you're feeling and experiencing. As a police department, we not only want to be your advocates and your partners, but we continue to learn from you each and every day. My best teachers have been the community members you see here. on this wonderful Zoom call today. But I implore everyone here within the sound of our voice to tell a friend and to tell others that the best way that we can help you, the best way that we can fight the insidiousness of hate, both that is out there for all of us to see, but also that hides and lurks into many aspects of our community life. The only way that we can combat it is to hear your voices. And I'm here to listen. I'm here to be your conduit. Call, text, email, in partnership with great people, great leadership like City Attorney Mike Fuhr and Mitch O'Farrell. We can't ask for better. Please know that we're here to advocate for you, but also, as I said earlier, a couple of weeks ago, justice for all has to mean that. No lip service, has to be action. As Mother Karina said earlier, she doesn't just talk to the talk. Jasmine doesn't just talk to the talk. They are here to make policy change, to make real advocacy that comes to life in the form of better lives for every single person, every single Angelino. So I thank you for letting me be a part of today.
Right. Thank you so much, Chief. We really appreciate your leadership. And I'd like to just say to a person, everyone that is on this panel and you see on your screen, these are folks that when we reached out to them, and I reached out to our beloved City Attorney Mike Fuhr, one of the first people I reached out to. He was all in, and everyone that we called on stepped up. And of course, Councilmember Mitch O'Farrell really led the effort here to make this opportunity happen with his staff. And I just would like to take the moment to acknowledge Francisco Ortega from our operation that does so much work and has been leading on Human Relations Commission as well as TAC issues. And of course, our other panelists that are participating with us from the TAC Advisory Board. I see Jasmine and Mother Karina again, and just can't acknowledge you all enough. And I know we have a young speaker that's coming on board to speak soon, but right now I have the privilege of honoring and acknowledging Mia Francis Yamamoto, who has stepped up and is always ready to go and ready to serve in so many ways. Well-regarded criminal defense attorney, civil rights advocate, and a proud transgender Asian woman in Los Angeles doing amazing work. She's fierce and she's a fighter against homophobic behavior. And I will yield the floor to Mia. Thank you so much, Mia.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that, Capri. Very eloquent of you. I have the honor of introducing the future of our community, the future of our movement. I'm going to start with Jasmine Creighton. She's an actress, model, advocate, and activist who, since first becoming the health educator for the Asian Pacific AIDS Intervention Team in 2014, has also grown to become a powerful force within the trans community of Los Angeles. 2017, Jasmine founded the Midnight Stroll, a monthly outreach event targeting homeless LGBTQ youth and trans sex workers in the Hollywood area. Jasmine never hesitates to speak up on the issue of her community, whether it is in meetings with colleagues, community partners, law enforcement, and even the mayor of Los Angeles. Jasmine is there with confidence, integrity, and love. I also get to introduce Alex Lozano, pronouns he, him, his. An autistic transgender Latino male, 12th grader from Bellingham Charter High School in the San Fernando Valley. He is the vice president of the school's GSA, Gay Straight Alliance Club, and has been an active member for the past 3 years. In the role of the GSA, he is currently working on sending a letter to the school about ways they can improve on utilizing more affirming names and/or pronouns. On his own time, Alex provides resources and support for other trans youth online who either just need a support system or who need help navigating various situations that can arise while transitioning. Through Instagram, he shares informational points of resource posts and highlights other trans-owned accounts. He will brainstorm with cisgendered people on ways to be more supportive of friends who are transitioning. Alex is very open and vocal about his transition and usually hosts a Q&A online to be able to answer either trans youth questions. He aspires to be a role model for younger trans kids so they can have representation and hopefully feel less alone. As he gets older, he wants to pursue advocacy and utilize his experiences to educate, since he feels that education is ultimately the route to acceptance. My first question is directed at Jasmine. Is she there?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, there you are. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Jasmine, how is the transgender community responding to acts of hate and discrimination here in Los Angeles? And how is law enforcement responding to your concerns?
Good afternoon, everyone. Again, my name is Jasmine Creighton. I use feminine pronouns, and I am a member of the TAC. And I also want to acknowledge other TAC members that are not here: Gia Alliance, Maria Roman, Tiana Herrera, James Wynn, and Aiden Luna, as well as Lucky Fuller and Simone LaRock. Thank you so much for the questions, and thank you so much for having us here. Congratulations to you, Capri. Mitchell Farrell, I totally am an honor, and just I appreciate everything that we've been able to do it together. And Ms. Gurmala, oh my God, thank you so much for the love. I want to honor Mother Karina and say thank you for your leadership. I personally work on the front line daily, and the trans community is brilliant, beautiful, magnificent, and wonderful folks doing great things in Los Angeles and abroad. I was speaking to some trans siblings the other day, and we were talking about the anti-violence across the nation, right? And how we are really fully supported here in Los Angeles. We can pick up the call if we need to make a phone call to Miss B, right? Miss Kamala. We're able to make that call. There's no interception, right? We're able to get what we need done in a timely manner. And I just can't thank Mitch enough. Because of the Midnight Stroll, we have sustainable, intentional housing for trans women. We have a bridge housing called Casa Zuma that is housing right now 16 trans women. So they're having an opportunity to enhance and advance their lives. And other housing opportunities are coming into play. So the question when you're asked, like, how are the trans folks here in Los Angeles navigating and able to like affirm themselves and be centered in this process? They're doing outstanding work. More work, needs to be done, right? We do need more access and intentional support around various issues, but the work is being done daily. And we do get the support that we need from our law office, from our law enforcement. Julie, Christina, Jules Sohn, and I'm trying to think of the first name, Ian. Ian was the first one to approach me years ago to really do intentional work and go out into the community, right, and provide the services that are needed. So I sit here in great awe and honor to be a part of the Trans Advisory Board. The work that we have been doing has been, again, intentional, affirming, and really making Los Angeles, a city of angels, a sanctuary for the trans community. And the work won't stop, so we will continue doing what we do on a daily basis. And I encourage to everyone to rock with us like they rock with the Dodgers and the Lakers, and like really get on board and support the community, because we've been here, we will always be here, and we appreciate it. We love Los Angeles. So
thank you, Jasmine. Go Dodgers, go Lakers, go Karina. We're going to talk a little bit to Mother Karina to follow up a little bit with you, Jasmine. You got to unmute, Karina.
Okay, can you hear me now? Sorry. I have seen the best and the worst in human behavior towards our community. And I've seen violence against trans women stemming from ignorance and misunderstanding. And I've seen thousands of people organize and demonstrate standing up against hate and discrimination. I grieve the pain and suffering, injustice, and senseless death that transgenders face and continue to face day after day. And with that also, the improvement way that we work with LAPD, and thank you so much for Chief Grimal for always being there for us. Many transgender people are still angry and distrustful of LAPD and other law enforcement agencies. And that I fully understand. It will take more than a policy paper or memorial celebration to heal the wounds created by the long history of systemic disrespect, discrimination, and violence suffered by the transgender individuals in the hands of the police in the past. It will take concrete actions and changes, not only changes in the policy, but more importantly, changes in the mindset of government officials and the law enforcement agents on how they see and perceive transgender people. It will take a long time and a lot of work to heal the wounds that have cut down so deeply in our collective souls as a community. It will take a long time and a lot of work to rebuild all the bridges that have been burned. But I can say with confidence that we are definitely heading in the right direction. And I thank you all for that and
Thank
for
you.
all your support.
Appreciate that. Nobody has done more for this community than you, as far as I can tell. I've been watching you for the decades, and your contribution is amazing and outstanding. And I don't think everybody has seen it because not everybody's old enough to have seen a lot of the work that was done. The next question is for Alex. Alex Lozano, what do you think are the biggest issues facing younger trans individuals today?
First of all, I just want to say hi, everybody. I'm very glad to be here. It's an honor and a privilege. And okay, so the question. I think the largest issues that trans youth face today are very institutional issues, homelessness. We deal with a lot of mental health issues and a high suicide rate from a lack of support, whether it be from family or friends or inaccurate representation in the media. Another very prominent issue is sexual, physical, verbal harassment and assault at the hands of family, peers at school or in public, or strangers, or even the hands of police officers. And then my last big thing here for this question is a lack of access to gender-affirming healthcare for low-income trans youth. It can be very difficult to navigate, and whenever you don't have enough money to do it, it can be very mentally and emotionally draining.
Thank you. Appreciate that. That's a very good overview. The next question is for B. Mala. What is the LAPD doing to prevent violent acts of hate against the transgender community?
Thank you so much for that question. I think there's two prongs to it. There's an education piece and an awareness piece that our officers must embrace. And it can't be something that LAPD has developed or that we force upon people and say, if you don't do X, Y will happen. So I'm proud to say that, first of all, I couldn't agree more with Mother Karina and her comments that we're on the right road, but much work is still yet to be done. But I must emphasize with everyone again on this call and who's participating by listening in, that the education piece that is being developed and continues to be developed by the LAPD is not an LAPD product. Let me make that very clear. It is a product of our community's input, its guidance, its molding and creation. And that training begins with the input of our communities within academy training, daily roll call training, and a police officer standards and training course, the first one approved in the entire country, called LGBTQ Competency. And that course was created by people like Jasmine Creighton, Mother Karina, and members of the LGBTQ working group. And why it has legitimacy, why it has power and impact is because members of the community share their stories with officers so that officers can understand the emotional and human impact their interactions have on members of the community, and how that's not a one and done. You fail to recognize the uniqueness, the beauty of the LGBTQ community, especially our trans brothers and sisters, those impacts have reverberations that continue past that 10, 15, 20 minutes and that contact. That scars someone, as Mother Karina said, for a lifetime. And how do you unwind that? Horrifically hard to ever do. And you make those indelible marks. So I just want to share that. Also, the trans community and our LGBTQ brothers and sisters have helped to create reference guides that provide different types of support that all of our patrol officers have to give to members of the community with whom they've engaged with. We have the Safe Place Initiative, many of you are familiar with, and hoping post-COVID we can reboot that. But something very important that I want to share with you, and then I'll keep my remarks in closing there. And again, in partnership with the City Attorney's Office, with City Attorney Mike Fuhr and his staff, a hate crimes supplemental report was instituted by the department. What is that? Not a piece of paper, but it's a training tool and an identification tool so that officers who interact with community members can recognize the first iteration and the first indication that there may be a member of the community who is the victim of a hate crime or a hate incident. And this is the key, again, to trying to get over that ugly hump of underreporting that we're seeing here. And we're seeing some better strides in that. But again, I have to say that document came in three prongs. The department, but it couldn't happen without the community members on this call and the leadership of the City Attorney's Office. And I just thank you for your time in letting me explain that.
Thank you very much. That obviously leads us to our Los Angeles City Attorney, Michael Fuhr. What do you have to say about that, Mike? I think you're still muted. Hang on.
There we go.
No, you're back. Okay.
There we go. Yeah, I was trying to unmute and you guys were muting me. So I want to say something first, if I could, to our new friend Alex. Alex, I as a parent, I gotta say I really admire your courage. You are a real leader in the making. I know this is not easy at all to be a leader in the making as a high school student in this setting. And I want to say to you that if in summers to come, you have any interest in an internship in the city attorney's office, I'll be city attorney for the next couple of years. I hope you'll consider doing that because I think that you have a great deal to offer, including to teach, not just kids, but adults. So Alex, you're very cool. Thanks very much. So now as to the issue about our office and what we're doing, I alluded earlier to the prosecution of hate crimes. And, you know, Assistant Chief Brumala has said, and I said earlier as well, one of the challenges that we face when it comes to enforcement on these issues is this underreporting issue is huge. But we did get a report and a referral from LAPD regarding an incident in downtown LA from a little over a year ago. And the allegations, and I want to emphasize these are allegations at this point because I haven't even proven in court yet, boil down to this, that there was a group of Latinx, transgender people and gay people together at a bar. And that a straight man allegedly made threats against them, including, we allege, the threat to come back with a gun. I can't discuss a lot of the details because the case is pending now. The first court appearance in this case just happened recently, and the next one's going to be next month. But here's what I can say. There is absolutely no room, speaking in general terms, there is no room for anyone to threaten anyone else in our city, particularly based on their gender identity. Zero room. This case is a case that's very important because of its basic merits, what actually we allege happened here, and people need to be held accountable if we can prove our case. But more than that, there's a message that I want us to be really good about sending everywhere. And that is when, as Bea mentioned earlier, talking is really important, education is really important, but accountability and action are also essential. So it's one thing for us to say how important it is in the abstract to stand up for people from the transgender community who may not be feeling as though the community not accepts them, let alone appreciates them, respects, and believes that they enrich our community. It's another thing to take action. And our office should be held accountable too. Just as we are trying to hold accountable those who we allege have engaged in criminal activity that target in a way that includes, in our case, an allegation of a hate crime, the transgender community, hold us accountable too. Reach out to us. You know, it wasn't just an empty gesture to say to Alex, hey, consider an internship in our office. By the way, Alex, it's not like I can pay you or anything, but it's still nonetheless a good idea. I think in our society generally, the trans community often thinks, why bother reporting? Because no one's going to be there for us. Watch our actions in this case. Fair enough.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that, Mike, and appreciate the revelations on that. Thank you for helping us all out. This next speaker, Mitch O'Farrell. It's really an honor to introduce you. You've been a great icon in our community. You've advanced us so much. Thank you very much. Hollywood is a cultural and social hub for the trans community. As the elected official for that area, can you tell me what role the council members play in keeping the trans community safe?
Thank you, Mia, and I want to thank you for moderating this discussion. You are an institution in and of yourself, so we all bow to you. Thank you. So first, I want to make sure that this entire community, this entire panel, everyone listening, everyone beyond understands. Fundamentally, it was the LGBTQ community that built Hollywood as a cultural and social hub. We need to own that. Hollywood would not be what it is. Its history, its rich cinematic history, television, the arts, the recording industry, you name it. We are overrepresented in every single aspect of Hollywood that is known the world over. So let's own that. Let's celebrate that, and let's not let anyone diminish that. We are, and always have and always will, play an outsized role in what makes the world more livable through arts and culture. And that's something that I want all of us to own. I would say that with my office's just ongoing partnerships with all the organizations in Los Angeles Police Department, and B. Gurmala, let me lay on some more about my love and admiration for B. Gurmala. I've known her for years when she was the captain over at Hollywood. We were together way before even thought about running for office. The LAPD Hollywood has been a great partner. So there's that. Also, as a community, it's all about visibility, and all of us and people who have a position of privilege and power like myself, exhibiting tolerance for all and intolerance for hatred of any kind. And, you know, just take that, lead with it, exhibit it, and be it. There was the Hollywood Wilcox incident last month that we all are very aware of with when the transgender women were attacked mercilessly, and the perpetrators were so proud that they put it all over social media, and now they're pending hate crime charges against them, which is just. And the Los Angeles Police Department Hollywood Division spent nonstop hours investigating, sleuthing, bringing one of the perpetrators back from a faraway place north of Los Angeles. And so it was the fast action of the community, the LGBTQ community, that provided all the tips. So I would say to anyone who feels that they're just free to just enact hatred and acts of violence in Hollywood, think again, because you're going to be watched, and we're going to find out who you are, and we're going to make sure that justice is served. And then lastly, all Black Lives Matter, a permanent space on Hollywood Boulevard with a sign from the Department of Transportation forever indicating the historic march that took place this past June 14th. I've got to hand it to the BLAC, which is the Black LGBTQ Activists for Change. Lucky Fuller and Gerald Garth and the entire organization, because that's how we represent. That's how we meet the moment, symbolically and literally. And so those are some of the ways that we protect our culture and protect this community.
Thank you, Mitch. I appreciate that so much. Thank you. All lives will not matter until Black lives matter. Thank you very much. Karina, can you add to that? I know you can. Unmute first. You're going to be great.
Okay, Mia, I'd really like to thank you for all the work that you have done with our community. You've surely come a long way. You were one of my panelists way back then when we were starting as a working group, and I'd asked you also when we had the first Transgender Community Forum at LACC College. You were one of our panelists, and also you helped us draft that recommended policy for LAPD for interaction with transgender individuals. And I thank you greatly for that, for helping us. And with also Councilmember Mitchell, we've been a guardian angel for our community. When we just started as a Transgender Advisory Council, because our hub is right there on your district. A lot of my girls right there from Santa Monica Boulevard and Hollywood Boulevard, from La Brea up to Vermont. That's where is our hub. That's where they hang out and party, and that's where most of our transgender bars are. And that's the reason why when we started this advisory board, I made it a point right away and got an appointment to meet with you and talk with you. And thank you so much for listening and also helping us with this community and being there for us. We need all the help that we can have. And I hope that we continue our collaboration in making this city a safe place for all transgender. And I want to say and add also to the city of LA and LAPD, please don't give up on this community. We're being hurt and killed. We live our life every day in fear. We need your help. We need you to protect us, save us, and keep us safe. Thank you, Mitch, our guardian angel. That's it.
All right. Thank you so much. I think that was our last question. I am so grateful to Mia and our panelists. I am very, very grateful for the opportunity and to be here to serve as the General Manager of the Civil and Human Rights Department. We have so much to do. And I just want to say that 10% of life is what happens to you. And I've heard it said that 90% is how you respond. So the acts of violence that happens against our transgender community and the discrimination that they face is not the end result. That's not who they are. It's what's happened to them. But I want you to know that we are coming with a wave of justice to make sure that people in this community are able to live at their best and highest use, because we need you to do so. The thing that I think is very important to share is we are not going to stop here. We want to have quarterly forums with the support of Councilmember Mitchell Farrell to allow these leaders to be lifted and to serve, like I said, and to thrive in Los Angeles, because here you are celebrated, and this wave of upward mobility, justice, empowerment, and engagement is coming so that we can be the city of angels that we are meant to be. Thank you again.